we had presidents did nothing about it. This president is much different than your other presidents. Decades ago, the United States built Venezuela's oil industry, a tremendous. Decades ago, the United States. Decades ago, the United States built Venezuela's oil industry at tremendous expense with American skill, technology, know-how, and dollars. But those assets were stolen from us, and we had presidents did nothing about it. This president is much different than your other presidents. Decades ago, the United States built Venezuela's oil industry at tremendous expense with American skill, technology, know-how, and dollars. But those assets were stolen from us, and we had presidents did nothing about it. This president is much different than your other presidents. Decades ago, the United States built Venezuela's oil industry at tremendous expense with American. Decades ago, the United States built.
Everyone is arguing about President Trump's move on Venezuela. In truth, it's not about drugs, not about terror, and not about oil, at least not the way people think. They're missing the point. Venezuela sits on the largest oil reserves on Earth, over 300 billion barrels, worth nearly $17 trillion. But here's the twist. The United States doesn't need that oil. China does. China buys nearly 90% of Venezuela's crude, almost all of Iran's oil, and a massive share of Russia's exports. Trump understood something most leaders ignore. Power doesn't come from owning energy. It comes from controlling who gets it. Destabilize Venezuela, pressure Iran at the same time. China suddenly loses 70% of its non-US regulated oil supply. No fuel for a Taiwan war. No energy for AI dominance, no BRICS currency replacing the dollar, no shots fired, no war declared, just leverage. As Marco Rubio put it, we don't need Venezuelan oil, but we will not allow this hemisphere's energy to be controlled by America's adversaries. This isn't chaos, this isn't luck, this is Trump playing the long game, outthinking rivals, reshaping alliances and winning without asking permission. That's not recklessness, that's strategy.
Since they took Maduro out of Venezuela, the Americans have been, I think, showing more starkly than ever how they believe power should run in the world, and that is essentially a new age of imperialism. They're talking like an imperial power about not just about Venezuela, but about Greenland, and actually. When the British had a very large Royal Navy during our days of empire, we used to intercept vessels on the high seas, take their cargoes, do all those sorts of things. Americans are doing it, and they're behaving like an imperial power. And I think that one of the reasons perhaps why the Russians are being a bit quiet about it is if you can have an American empire, you can have a Russian empire. And if you can have a Russian empire and an American empire, you can have a Chinese empire. And so for those countries who have designs on their neighbors, then this might be quite a favorable time, and of course a very nervy time for those who could be on the wrong end of it. Since they took Maduro out of Venezuela, the Americans have been, I think, showing more starkly than ever how they believe power should run in the world, and that is essentially a new age of imperialism. They're talking like an imperial power about not just about Venezuela, but about Greenland. And actually, when the British had a very large Royal Navy during our days of empire, we used to intercept vessels on the high seas, take their cargoes, do all those sorts of things. Americans are doing it. American empire, you can have a Russian empire. And if you can have a Russian empire and an American empire, you can have a Chinese empire. And so for those countries who have designs on their neighbors, then this might be quite a favorable time, and of course, a very nervy time for those who could be on the wrong end of it. Since they took Maduro out of Venezuela, the Americans have been, I think, showing more starkly than ever how they believe power should run in the world, and that is essentially a new age of imperialism. They're talking like an imperial power about not just about Venezuela, but about Greenland. And actually, when the British had a very large Royal Navy during our days of empire, we used to intercept vessels on the high seas, take them, take their cargoes, do all those sorts of things. Americans are doing it, and they're behaving like an imperial power. And I think that one of the reasons, perhaps, why the Russians are being a bit quiet about it, is if you can have an American empire, you can have a Russian empire. And if you can have a Russian empire and an American empire, you can have a Chinese empire. And so for those countries who have designs on their neighbors, then this might be quite a favorable time, and of course, a very nervy time for those who could be on the wrong end of it. Since they took Maduro out of Venezuela, the Americans have been, I think, showing more starkly than ever how they believe power should run in the world, and that is essentially a new age of imperialism. They're talking like an imperial power about not just about Venezuela, but about Greenland. And actually, when the British had a very large Royal Navy during our days of empire, we used to intercept vessels on the high seas, take them, take their cargoes, do all those sorts of things. Americans are doing it, and they're behaving like an imperial power. And I think that one of the reasons, perhaps, why the Russians are being a bit quiet about it, is if you can have an American empire, you can have a Russian empire. And if you can have a Russian empire and an American empire, you can have a Chinese empire. And so for those countries who have designs on their neighbors, then this might be quite a favorable time, and of course, a very nervy time for those who could be on the wrong end of it. Since they took Maduro out of Venezuela, the Americans have been, I think, showing more starkly than ever how they believe power should run in the world, and that is essentially a new age of imperialism. They're talking like an imperial power about not just about Venezuela, but about Greenland. And actually, when the British had a very large Royal Navy during our days of empire, we used to intercept vessels on the high seas, take them, take their cargoes, do all those sorts of things. Americans are doing it, and they're behaving like an imperial power. And I think that one of the reasons, perhaps, why the Russians are being a bit quiet about it, is if you can have an American empire, you can have a Russian empire. And if you can have a Russian empire and an American empire, you can have a Chinese empire. And so for those countries who have designs on their neighbors, then this might be quite a favorable time, and of course, a very nervy time for those who could be on the wrong end of it.
And Italy and France are frightened by what Trump has threatened. What can you expect of countries like Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados and those of us in the region? We are in treacherous waters.
Mr. Golding believes no head of government in CARICOM is safe from the onslaught of the Trump administration.
Trump operates with no boundaries. There's nothing that he feels is beyond the pale, and he will do whatever he thinks is necessary to further U.S. interests. So when Prime Minister Holness spoke yesterday, he was very careful, he was very measured. He understood that his primary responsibility is to ensure the protection of the Jamaican people. I don't have the burden that he has. I am a former prime minister. I'm a private citizen. I am in a position where I can say what Prime Minister Holness cannot say, what no other CARICOM leader can say, because the retribution can be instantaneous. There's not much retribution that can be imposed on me apart from canceling my U.S. visa.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. He was speaking yesterday on Beyond the Headlines. CARICOM is unable to speak with one voice because of the position taken by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
CARICOM is in a difficult position, but it would have been better if they were able to take a united position, muted though that might have to be, recognizing that they are confronted with terrible forces. The fact that Trinidad has separated itself is not a good thing. And I hope that that is an issue that will be resolved in due course.
He says there is need for dialogue between CARICOM member states to engage Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar in order for a unified response to issues within the region.
Apart from Jamaica, Trinidad is the largest and first most important member of CARICOM, and therefore its position cannot be disregarded. And I think it's important for us to try to see if we can harmonize our response to the challenges that we face. And these are challenges that are greater than even what we faced with the Grenada situation in 1983. We are faced with serious challenges, and we need a concerted response, and therefore we need to have a conversation within CARICOM, and that conversation needs to engage Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. And former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson says any discussion within CARICOM on issues affecting the region should highlight the fact that Trinidad and Tobago is better off within the grouping.
They have elected a new government with a rather different perspective on what are the real interests of Trinidad and Tobago and where they truly lie. I think any rational discussion and any thorough examination, including Trinidad itself, will come to the realization that they are better off in the Caribbean community than they are standing aloof, alone, and separate from the Caribbean community. And difficult as it may be, there has to be found some way of bridging the gap, of having meaningful dialogue.
Former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson. He was also a guest on Beyond the Headlines. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service is reporting that tax revenues were running at $9 billion below budget during the period April to November of this fiscal year. During that period of time, it collected only $565 billion when the projections were for $574 billion. The ministry's Central Government Operations Report also revealed that, as a result of this revenue shortfall, it spent $2 billion less than it planned during the same period. The fiscal deficit, which measures the difference between what it spends and what it collects, was running at minus $38.7 billion, when it should have been minus $42 billion. The ministry is also reporting that it borrowed $111.3 billion, $9.1 billion more than it planned to because of this revenue shortfall. The government also repaid $124.6 billion, $549 million less than it was planning to repay during the period under review. Meanwhile, the primary balance, or the amount of money that was set aside to repay the debt, was $74 billion, $2 billion more than budgeted for. Global Finance recently designated the National Commercial Bank as the best foreign exchange bank for the year 2026 for the 8th consecutive year, reinforcing its leadership in the foreign exchange market. Assistant Vice President, Treasury and Correspondent Banking, Peter Higgins, said the recognition is significant. He pointed out that 4 years after moving its foreign exchange operations fully online, the bank continues to lead the market in forward buying, structured solutions, and in the provision of liquidity support. Mr. Higgins also indicated that these transactions amounted to 8 billion Jamaican dollars across all currencies since the beginning of the year, while attributing this feat to the disciplined performance of the bank's team members and the trusted relationship which exists among their clients.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the ways of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law do we meditate day and night. For we shall be like trees planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth our fruit in our season. Our leaves shall not wither, and whatsoever we do shall prosper. Welcome to the Colin Bell Show for yet another Saturday morning. Is this? No, Saturday. We did a Saturday in 2026 already. Very interesting lineup we have for you this morning. Please share up the channel, call some people, tell them, because we have some breaking news this morning. This morning ain't no joke morning. We have with us this morning, because we're getting straight into it. We have with us first-time member of parliament, former mayor of Morant Bay, former councillor of Morant Bay. So she might be a first-time MP, but a seasoned politician. Rosemary Shaw, good morning and welcome. Rosemary? Auntie Rosie? We're hearing you in the background, Rose. MP, you hearing us? We hear MP. We hear you in the background, Auntie Rose. We're trying to connect to Rosemary Shaw. Rosemary? We hear her shuffling in our background, so we know that we have the right connection. I don't know if she's not hearing us. Rosemary Shaw, are you hearing us? Hello? We're hearing her in the background. Why is this dancing like that? We're trying to touch base with Rosemary Shaw. We just spoke to her. Let me see if I can do something else. Rosemary, MP Shaw? MP Shaw? Let me try something else. Let me try do it over here. Yeah, man, but we hear her cleaning all our throat and all them something there. But we don't know if you're not here. Rosemary Shaw, you hearing us now?
Yes, good morning, Shako. Yeah, I'm hearing.
Morning and welcome.
Thank you, and all the best for the new year, sir.
Well, I have been trying to talk to you since you have been sworn in as MP, but nothing happens before the time. It's God and
Hello.
nothing. Nothing happens before the time. It's God and time.
Indeed, indeed.
Welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. How has it been so far, Rosemary?
Well, so far it is challenging, but you know, I am no stranger to representational
And
politics.
and that's what
I
I
have
was
been
just
doing this.
that's what I was just telling my viewers that you may be a first time MP, but you're a seasoned politician
Indeed, 26 years straight,
in the
not
politics.
out
Oh,
as the yeah,
that
as a
is
parish councillor,
yes.
as a parish councillor. Yes,
And then you switch over to MP now.
yes, Mr. Shaka.
Give us a
Done.
summary of your what? September, October, November, December. Give us a summary of what your 4 months have been like thus far.
Very well. Well, I have a report card.
Yes.
Thus far, what I have been able to achieve, you know, a lot of persons say they wonder how I was able to do it. When I took over, and a lot of people is saying it's September 3rd. I was elected September 3rd, but I could not perform my elected duties until September 18th when I was sworn in. So the
Yes.
job actually began September 19th. The first thing I did was to collaborate with the various state agencies, you know, just to get a feel as to what was happening before
Hmm.
and what up to is now in terms of the constituency development fund.
Yes.
I found something very strange and interesting
Talk to me.
because, yes, the former member of parliament that is being trumpeted now by her surrogates about the job that she was doing and how well the job was doing. I am yet to find tangible things that was, but be that as it may, what I found is dribblings that was left from the constituency development fund. When I set out, I got a printout from the Social Development Commission, which, you
Yes.
know, administer the program for the constituency development. Okay, I found a little money in education. I started the ball rolling. I had a listing of a number of university and college students, high school as well, who really, really wanted to get some assistance to
Yes.
continue their studies. So I set out, I have a listing and I set out, I submitted all of those to the CDF. And thankfully today, a lot of students have been benefited. So, you know, because education is, you have to call it is life. They say
Yes.
water is life. I would
Education.
include educate.
It is the
Okay.
key
All right.
to unlock poverty and get to wealth.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. All right. The second thing, I assess the states of the roads. And I tell you, Shaka, all the community roads in Eastern St. Thomas is in a bad condition, appalling. Um, it is a question of prettying up the front. You hear about highways, and you and I know that is a highway that is watered down.
Lord
Every
God.
day you pass, it
If
is being dug up and all of that. So it's a case where you find the front is pretty, according to some persons, but the
yes.
backyard is very dirty and distressing. Okay. Um, I have not received an iota of funding other than the $10 million that was allocated the other day. A number of persons dubbed it Christmas work. It was really not Christmas work because the letter that we got from the Prime Minister give clear instructions as to how we should go about using that $10 million. And I have a report card that $10 million, we did Curtis Bottom to style out bushing, Landtop community, the entire Landtop community was bushed and clean, Port Moran to Bath, Pear Tree River, Golden Grove to Hampton Court, Needham Pen, Spring Garden to Stanton, Nuts River, Browns Gully in Morant Bay, cleaning drains and bushing, Red Hills Housing Scheme, cleaning and taking up bulky waste in several communities. Top Hill Road was cleaned, Acacia Road, Wilmington to Mount Stewart, Sunning Hill to Thornton, Rolandsfield, Wheelersfield to Hordley, Springbank. Now when you come on to drain cleaning, Bachelors All to Hordley, Old Pira, Bath, Duckensfield, Port Morant, Retreat, and Morant in Morant Bay. The fund was inadequate. But you know what? All of these roads and drains that I have spoken about, that I cleaned, for 5 years, none of these roads and gullies were touched.
Are those PNP area roads, are those GLP areas? Because it sounds to me like the PNP areas were neglected.
Yes, they're both. They're mixed. They are mixed, and that is to show you the extent of the problem. The extent of the well. I know Bath is a PNP community, and Bath was woefully neglected. Absolutely nothing was done in the Bath community. And you know, the Bath is surrounded by the Island River and the Planting Garden River. Whenever there's rainfall, these river broke banks and affect thousands of people in the Bath Wheelersfield community.
But the Bath community is also have a tourist attraction, Auntie Rose.
Yes, indeed. I'm coming to that. Since my ascension, I made representation in the parliament. Some people is conveniently deaf because they're saying that they don't hear me. I stood up and I made representation with regards to river training in the Bath and Bamber River community. Also in Rolandsfield, there's been a breakaway for the past 4 years. Right? 2 vehicles collided. They went over there. Thank God nobody. It wasn't fatal. But it's a one lane going to Rolandsfield. The situation is appalling. And I made representation in the parliament of our land that I was elected. Right? So the response from the Prime Minister was that he will look at it and see if anything can be done. But at this point in time, maybe those persons have to be relocated. Particularly in Bath, I can tell you that these people did not just go on the riverbank to build their houses, right? That was a road, the Copper Lane, we call down there Shantytown. Mm-hmm. They have their lands and they built their homes. But the rivers, both rivers keep undermining the land.
Coming for them.
So, you know, yes. So, contrary to what other persons are saying, I have been making representation in that respect.
I have heard you in the parliament.
Indeed. Conveniently, some persons are on a campaign. Mm-hmm. You have a group in the diaspora. I mean, you know, they always have their candidates, and none of them is coming forward to take up the mantle to represent people. And I tell them, I've been doing this all my life, so I don't understand how people now coming to talk about missing MP. Shaka?
After 4 months? Oh, can you?
After 4 months.
I mean, after 10 years, you have people who still don't want to judge the government, and they want to judge you after 4 months.
Exactly.
What can go so?
The bias and the agenda, and you have some people still cannot come to grips that I won the seat in Eastern St. Thomas. I won it decisively.
Yes.
And I am the duly elected member of parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, for all the people in Eastern St. Thomas.
And won it with way less money than the former MP had.
Indeed.
So it must have been people's power that brought you through.
Indeed.
Rose, you were talking to us about the CDF fund. And
yes.
I understand that
I'll go back to that.
Yeah, I understand that you found something very, very disturbing, because people are talking about the junior minister in the Ministry of Health inviting the former MP, and we're going to talk about that. But here is something, my listeners and viewers, more serious and dangerous than what happened at the hospital. Rosemary Shaw, tell us what you found about the CDF fund and Michelle Charles.
Shaka, when I delve into the expenditure of the former member of parliament, there was I think it was about close to $900,000 at the Western Sports that was allocated. 2 clubs wrote letters to the member of parliament asking for assistance.
Yes.
And she used those clubs' name, and I can call it. One of the clubs is in Johnstone, the other one is Port Morant All Star.
Yes.
That those clubs wrote asking for assistance.
Yes.
It was approved, and the money was at the Western Sports. Can you imagine the member of parliament, after losing on October 18th, authorized her driver to go to Western Sports to pick up personal items? And I tell you, these are personal items that she wear. You see her jumping up and down in some tights.
Leggings.
Right? I have the receipt.
Yes.
The caps, the boots, and all of those things.
And what
She
date? Tell us the
used
date again, Rosemary Shaw.
October 18th, 2025.
Michelle Charles sent her
Yes.
driver to
Yes.
Western Sports
Yes.
to collect items, personal items, on a CDF account. She collect
Yes.
cap. She collect leggings.
Yes.
She collect
Heel balm.
what?
Something called heel balm. Have the invoices.
Heel balm
Yeah.
on the 18th of October. Isn't this a police matter, Rosemary Shaw?
I would think so, because these are taxpayers' money.
Have
It's
you
not Michelle Charles' money.
Have you sent this
That-
receipt to the Integrity Commission?
Well, what I've done, I followed procedure. I got in touch with the head of CDF, Mrs. Rochester. I sent her an email, and I also sent a follow-up email with the receipts and all the evidences.
Tell her!
Yeah, and I tell you, persons were shocked.
Tell her!
Mhm. Yeah. So you tell me now.
October
These
8th.
are
Well,
the
on Rosemary Shaw. October 18 is exactly 1 month after you were sworn in
Yes,
as MP.
definitely.
So this is not
Definitely.
even before you were sworn in, where she could have said,
That's right.
you are never MP yet because you're not swearing. Even though she didn't lose.
That's right.
And she wouldn't be no MP neither, because from nomination day, Michelle Charles are no MP.
August 18th.
August
And I tell you
18th.
more. I tell you more.
Tell me.
On August 30th, a letter, a check was posted to Linville's Hardware in Port Morant, for building materials, etc.
Yes.
The 30th, and I am saying that is not good governance, because even when Michelle Charles was a candidate like myself, not a member of parliament,
She has spent
she
government
was
money.
administering government funds.
Tell her!
And
Tell her!
yeah. Yes.
Well, hold on. Michelle Charles. Me know me have labor right tools. You know, call Michelle Charles right now. Call her. On the 18th of October, that was nomination day, Rosie. 18th of August, sorry. The 18th of August was nomination day. And on the
Definitely.
13th, on the 30th, 30 of August,
Yes.
she a write check? She a send check?
Well, it's not. She didn't write the check. The check was sent through the CDF
Yes.
to Linville's Hardware.
So
Yeah,
on the
with
30th of
names.
August, she has spent CDF money.
Yes.
Was she
Yes,
a
and
minister?
I want-
What minister was
I-
she?
Well, you need to ask the government.
Because I think after
and
nomination
the
day,
person-
hold on, Rosie. I think after nomination day, the ministers still have some authority, right?
Ministers. and the
That's
Prime
why may I
Minister.
ask
Yeah.
you, what minister was Michelle Charles? Minister for what?
Well, you and I know that she wasn't any minister at all.
So therefore,
Neither
she
was
had no legal authority to touch government money after the 18th of August. That's nomination day.
Absolutely.
And then on the 18th of October, hey, 18th of October, 1 month after Rosemary Shaw was officially sworn in as the Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Michelle Charles was spending government money. And people, I saw the receipt. I saw the receipt myself.
I don't spread propaganda and lies on people, you know. Whenever I talk, it is the truth and nothing but the living truth.
Rosie.
And if I speak the truth and speak it ever, cause it what it will. I am prepared to die for the truth.
You know what I think, though, Rosemary Shaw? I think you need to send me a copy of that receipt. Please and thanks.
I certainly will.
Send me a copy of that receipt. Because this is not joke, people. The labor rights love to talk about September 3 come and gone. It don't come and gone for GLPMP. It come and gone for PNPMP too. So the labor right them will lose. September 3 then done. Just like I want to tell Marky G, sit down, September 3 gone, you over there so, and we over here so. So when September 3 gone, Michelle Charles is an ordinary citizen. Tell us now, Rosie.
It's clear that she's being facilitated by the government, because the first act is that she dressed up in the camouflage garbs with the soldiers down in Spanish Town Road, where the Ministry of Labor food store is. That's the location of the Ministry of Labor food store. And she was there with her brother, the minister, the permanent secretary, and some soldiers packing food and also issuing broadcasts to Eastern St. Thomas that food is on its way.
Yes, I see them doing the same thing with the man who beating wife in a Rose. The man who beating wife down at Westmoreland. I see him down there going like him an MP, but I need to ask George Wright, where is your wife, George Wright? Is your wife in Jamaica or your wife run well left you?
But you see, these are serious issues, governance issues, you know, Shaka.
It's not joke.
People just take it lightly, and when you talk, you know, they say that you're being you're political and you're partisan. But look at what is happening in government, and it is a duty of the opposition, and it is a duty of the office of Member of Parliament to do your duty and at the same time call out the wrongs, right? The minute you start, you hear all kind of things that they're talking, right? They have run so much nasty campaign against me, right? And it did not help, because if anybody knows me, it is the people of Eastern St. Thomas. Most of these persons who are commenting on Facebook are not from Eastern St. Thomas.
So then do it, Rosie.
And yes.
So then do it.
But yeah.
Because I see some clowns also calling for Isaac Buchanan. Where is Isaac Buchanan?
Yeah.
When Isaac Buchanan is in East Portland, one idiot go on one show, but him ask Isaac Buchanan, say here, say the office closed. When the office open every day, Isaac had to spell open for him.
You know, Shaka, I think they went very hard in Eastern Portland and Eastern St. Thomas, and they're still in denial. They can't believe that they have lost.
Rosie, that is what I am saying, you know.
And the bitterness.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
The bitterness. That's what obtains right
They
now.
can't accept it all now. Well, you know, going dead. You know, lose Eastern St. Thomas. I want to lose Eastern Portland. The people have spoken.
That's right. They can't accept that. It's the bitter all.
Tell us about this tour to the Princess Margaret Hospital. When you heard about it, Rose?
Right. Okay, before I address that, I want to address the Portmoran to Bath main road. Right? Shaka, that road is in an appalling state. And even when I was caretaker, I spoke about it. Well, the taxi operators demonstrated the other day. And the usual thing, where is the MP? But the MP is very much there, from license to Roland's Field to Wheeler's Field to Mount Stewart to Wilmington. I am very much there, ever present.
Always,
But
even
I
before
want
your
to
MP, you did it.
Yes, indeed. I want to address that road in particular because I had a meeting with Mr. Hunter, the CEO at National Works Agency, and some other officers to talk about that road a month ago. And I was told that that road is on a program. When I delve into the program, I think some $25 million was that program. And I was told that Alcar Construction is the construction company that will be carrying on the works. I called Alcar. Alcar told me that he heard of it, but he has not signed any documentation whatsoever. Right? And when I look at the road, $25,000 is woefully inadequate.
You mean 25
But they said
million?
you are 25 million. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
25 million. Yes, woefully inadequate.
Hold on, from
But-
Port Moran to Bath,
Yes.
it's patched, then
Yes,
go and
and
patch
you
it.
know well, that is it. Well, I don't know if the taxi operators will be satisfied with patching, but they say give thanks for small mercies.
Yeah,
So let us see what obtains.
but that
Right,
should
so-
not be rehabilitation. That must just be patching.
For $25 million,
Yeah,
that's
that-
what I'm looking at.
And that can patch
Yeah.
everything that will patch the major potholes.
That's right. So that in itself needs to be clarified. And as I told you before, that most of the community roads are Rolandsfield,
Mhm.
Beacon Hill, Wilmington to Mount Stewart, all of those roads. And I'm wondering, people are saying that Michelle Charles was doing such a fantastic job. Why do I have so much problems on my hand now?
Doing a fantastic job by
Let them
whose
ask
estimation?
Oh, well, the
But-
few that is on social media.
Let me tell you something. I saw a social media campaign after the election that was even saying that East Portland should remove from Jamaica, or we're wicked and we're bad mind and we're ungrateful,
Oh my God.
by people who don't even know East Portland,
Yes.
who don't know
yes.
what the people of East Portland was going through and is still going through. I don't know how many people are aware, MP Shaw.
That is to show you how low they will go.
But let us show you a situation that even
to
still.
promote
Let-
their politics.
Let me show you a situation that still exists in East Portland, even after the MP lost, the former MP lose. The people at Blue Lagoon used to raft on the sea. Raft go down to Pelou Island. And
I know that.
they stop them from sail raft on the sea. Tell them to go get
Oh
raft
my God.
license. And after the people go and got the raft license, and they build some raft, they take night and go take away back the raft, and there's a video of people connected to them, taking away the people in raft in a night. So the man them can't make the kind of money they used to make at Blue Lagoon.
What's new about that?
You
That
stop
is
people
how
from
they-
sailing.
Yeah, that is how they practice their politics. You know, but let me tell you, Shaka, I am not daunted. You know, I am the only regret I have is
Mhm.
that I am not a part of a government, which is my government, the People's National Party government, you know, to carry out some of my plans. Nevertheless, I am proceeding because I have identified 2 locations for my planned agro processing plant
Yes.
for the constituent. Right?
Mhm.
And you know, there are some good news. The location in Fort Lethal. I mean, I am so happy that these people will be getting their land title, security of tenure. This started way back in 2014 under Fenton Ferguson's leadership.
Mhm.
I remember when those people were, lawyers were taking advantage of those people. Antoinette Horton, because the persons formed themselves into cooperatives
Mhm.
and, you know, start, you know, on this land. And a gentleman by the name of Jasper Marshall, he came and said he owned the land. And Fenton Ferguson took it up then to then Minister Carl Blight to declare that area under the Housing Act. And, you see, because I know Michelle Charles was there for 5 years and she did nothing. When I won September 3rd, September 4th, I reached out to the various agencies in that respect about the security of tenure for those people. And I am pleased to announce that the surveyors have been in the constituency over by Fort Lethal for the past 6 weeks, completing the survey in order for those persons
to get tenure,
get their title.
Beautiful.
Security of tenure. I had promised them, and starting from 2014, because Fenton Ferguson, I was counselor under Fenton Ferguson.
Yes.
And we worked on it. I was the one who brought light through rural electrification over by Fort Lethal, and I want anybody to successfully contradict that. They know nothing about the parish other than to loot and plunder for land. I have given many small farmers land, many persons lands to live on, right? Security of tenure. And I am so happy that that has come to fruition. Thanks to the then Member of Parliament, Fenton Ferguson.
But finally,
right? And
Rose,
then I resurrected it.
Finally, still tell us about what happened at the Princess Margaret Hospital. We don't touch on that yet before you go. Well,
Shaka, I just saw a video circulating with the disbarred member of parliament going around, disbarred former member of parliament going around welcoming the Minister of State at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And a number of persons reached out to me because I knew nothing about that. I was not given and sent an invitation, right? I wasn't even told verbally. I just saw the video. And, a number of persons reached out and they were upset. So, you would have noticed that I sent a text to the House Leader.
Yes.
Honorable Floyd Green. And, I must say, he called. He reached out to me after sending the text. I also sent a text to the Minister, Christopher Tufton, who told me that he knew nothing about it.
Hello?
So,
Hello?
I don't know what is happening. The Minister of State is coming to visit a government institution. The Minister knew nothing about it.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah.
They're not going to know nothing, Rosie. They're not going to know anything.
Shaka, hold on a minute. The fact remains that even Downey, that I beat in the last in the last by-election.
The local government by-election.
Downey was very much there, yes. And I am the first person to win an election back to back within 9 months. Right? And they don't respect that. There's no respect when it comes on to the people's choice.
It's not you that
very much there.
It's not you that disrespecting, Rose. It's not you that disrespecting. Well, they are disrespecting the people of Eastern St. Thomas. The people of Eastern St. Thomas have spoken decisively. Not once, but twice.
That's right.
So when you hear them talking about people, they have no respect for the people. Rosemary Shaw, I have Lambert Brown holding because I'm going to talk to him too. But
okay, I understand.
I'm going to talk to Lambert Brown, but this year one year Rose. On the 18th of October, leggings, cap, boots, to the total of what? 30 what thousand? How much is 30?
Nearly $40,000, but it's not the amount of money.
No,
it's the principle.
$30,000 worth of stuff was collected. Common thief. Wow. $30,000 worth of stuff was collected from Western Sports by the former member of parliament of Eastern St. Thomas. Lambert Brown, what can go salami?
Good question, Shaka. You know, I so love Rosemary Shaw. She's a fighter and she has stood up for the people of St. Thomas and in particular Eastern St. Thomas for decades. I just love her and I
Rose,
love
you
her
hearing Lammy?
spirit. Eh?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
here.
Hi, Lammy.
My dear friend Rose, I just love your spirit. I can see Paul Bogle in
Thank
you.
you.
I can see Paul
Thank you
Bogle
so
in you.
much.
And you're going to keep fighting and you're going to get my support and the support of Jamaica. Because what is happening out there is disgraceful, it is despicable, and it is an affront to democracy.
Well,
Yes, but Lammy,
go
I
ahead,
don't
Rose.
want to cut you, but let me interject here. 60 minutes, they're talking about bad roads and people protesting. Yes, I'm with the protesters because I feel their pain. But $60 million was the work has started, pipeline work and everything. That was granted to a private road. Well, it's a private public road leading to the property of the Charleses. $60 million.
Hey,
And you want to
hold
tell
up,
me that that is acceptable?
Rosie.
Come on.
Well, what you just said, $60 million was allocated.
Yes.
Is it solely a private road or public? What about that?
Well, that road is called the Phillips Field Road. That nobody lives on that road. The only house it leads to is the house, a great house of the Charleses property.
Lord God.
Eh?
And
Edgar
and
went
from
over
Port
there.
Moran to Bath, they only put in 25 million.
Yes,
Hey,
that's it. So I want to bring that to the public's attention.
Rosemary Shaw, we're going to talk again. We're going to keep in touch because if they think they're going to
Thank
silence
you
us,
so much.
they make a sad mistake. Thank you, Auntie
We'll
Rose.
never.
Can't
I have
silence
a
you.
lot of Paul Bogle blood in me.
Hey!
Thank you so much, Shaka, and all the best.
We
All the
will
best,
talk.
Lammy. Bye bye.
Rosemary Shaw, Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas. What a people, them, Lammy.
Yeah, but you know what I expect? The way Rose is standing up for the people, she will become a general, many time general like Fenton Ferguson was. And I'm satisfied with that. The people of St. Thomas need her and they need her advocacy.
But
And
Lammy,
anything I can do to support her, she can count on me. Yes, Shaka.
tell me something. How can somebody, after losing as Member of Parliament, 1 month after, you go collect money, CDF money? How you do that?
Shaka, if that is so, it requires the Auditor General, it requires the officials, and may even require the police investigation. Because, you know, there are things called larceny as a servant. And what strikes me is that government badness seems to be the order of the day. I mean, one of the reasons why you call me is about the government using the public sector workers' money
Yes.
contrary to the instructions. In other words, a doctor or a porter or a nurse or a medical technologist employed to the hospital, employ and give instruction to say, out of my pay for this month, draw certain amount and pay it over to the insurance company for my life insurance.
Yes.
Pay it over because of our car loan. Pay it over because my house are paying mortgage. And that money, which is taken out of your pay, and when you look at your pay slip, you see say the money for NHT take out, the money for NCB take out, the money for Guardian Life take out, or Sagicor take out. But then, as happened, a doctor was in operating theater. finish operating, and decide time to go home. Come out and can't find him car. The car was repossessed. And when the doctor checked him pay slip, him paid the money. But the Ministry of Health and the Regional Health Authority didn't pay over the money. So even though it come out of the doctor pay, it don't reach whether the credit union, the bank, the insurance company. So the workers suffer. And then have to pay further money for interest and repos and to recover the vehicle.
So the government not paying over statutory deduction. That struck me like I don't know if you ever get hit by a PS bowler, Lammy.
No, my batting skills are a little better. I can duck. I can bat like a Viv Richards. I can duck. I don't know if I bat with helmet.
Well, I'll tell you something, Lammy. When I used to play cricket as a youth, we used to play without pad and all them something there. So
Me
I
too.
get licked on the shin. When you go forward, no pad never did there, you know.
Bat in front of pad. Bat in front of pad. you can't play like Jimmy Adams. Padams.
But what can also? That can be real?
So Shaka, it's going on for a long time. It's going on for a long time.
Hold on.
And
So
it
you see a long time that used to happen under PNP administration too?
And Horace Daly stopped it. Horace Daly intervened and stopped it.
Oh?
Way back. But they continue. And it's not me who bring it out first, you know. It's the government side at the Industrial Dispute Tribunal who says, we are using the people's money. So I have to ask them, what law exists to allow you to use that money? Because, you know, Shaka, if you send me go shop, me work with you, and you give me money, and me buy what you send me to buy and change leave over. If me not give you back that change, you know, and last me as a servant charge for me, you know.
Lammy.
Worse if me not use, if me not buy what you send me to buy, and me use the money. And that's what government is doing.
I never spent a lot of time with my father. In fact, I knew my father when I was about 10 years old.
Yeah.
And when my father sent me go shop, when I come back from shop, the first thing I have to give him change.
All right.
Before me give him when he send me go buy the first, when me I give him, me send him go buy, he say, change. And the first thing that he want. So how can the government, which supposed to be the lawmakers, now become the lawbreakers?
Well, it's called government badness. And follow what you just said with Rose a while ago. You lose election, and you collect money.
Are you going to collect government money that you have no authority?
Government badness. You chuck down on the maroons and say, "Ooh, we are selling the JDF, whether you like it or not."
Yes.
Right? Government badness. And so what we're seeing here is not a respect for law. They believe that if they're in power, they can do anything. I mean, Crystal Lee goes out to Port Morant Hospital. Right? Princess Margaret sort of at this car. They don't do the proper thing, you know, of inviting the member of parliament, Russia, to tour. No, they don't do that. They bring the former member of parliament who will lose the election to come out there to give her coverage and PR cover. Government badness. But at the same time, is Crystal Lee concerned about the money them drawing up? Because she's now Minister of State in the Ministry of Health. Instead of hugging up Michelle Charles, a loser, one would think that she would be sent to the Ministry of Health and to the regional health authority, why are you taking the people's money and not paying over the money to the insurance company, to the bank, to the mortgage company? That's what she should be doing.
Where are we going to take this, Lambert Brown? I suspect you may be representing some of the people who work in the health sector and other
I do.
unions. Where is this going to go?
This is, as I said, it's not a new thing. We're going to be raising it again. And as I said so elsewhere, I'm going to ask the Confederation of Trade Union, Jamaica Confederation of Trade Union, of which I'm a vice president, to say when we go back to meet with the Ministry of Finance that this is unacceptable, that first you can't do it without telling the worker that you haven't sent his money over.
Mhm.
You know, if you take my money to send it to somewhere and you don't send it, tell me. Secondly, we're going to ask that any damage suffered by any losses suffered by the worker should be compensated by the state. In other words, if I lose my car because you don't pay out the money, you must compensate me. If I have to pay more interest because my debt is in arrears, the government must pay for that because I gave you instruction to take out my money. And I tell you, Shaka, what is happening now too is that some of the doctors I know and maybe some other health workers, what they're doing now is if I come to your credit union and your credit union say, to get a loan, you must sign a payroll deduction. And I said to the credit union, no, I don't want to sign the payroll deduction. I rather pay the money straight to you because I know
Yes.
what you're not going to get the money even though it comes to pay. So what some people are doing now is they sign with the credit union or with the insurance company for payroll deduction to get the loan. And then 2 months' time, they cut off that standing order to draw the money out of the pay. So they get their full pay and they pay the money straight. So they stop using the ministry now as a conduit to pay the money over to the third party because they're realizing that despite the talk of prosperity and how things good and the government doing great, the money for the workers are not being paid over. So the workers are now saying, don't draw the money out of the pay. Me will make the payment myself. As inconvenient as it may be, I will make the pay over. That's what's happening now.
But
Which means
isn't that a shame, Lammy, and an embarrassment? We're also aware that there are private sector who are taking statutory deduction from people's salary and not paying it over. If the government is doing the same thing, how can you hold the private sector accountable?
so people in NIS, for example, they draw NIS out of a pay, but they don't pay it over. They draw housing trust out of a pay. I see it on my pay slip, But when I go to housing trust will tell me, Mr. Brown, we don't stop payment for you for 5 years. This happens all the time in Shaka. So there's a lack of trust.
I'm aware of that, Lammy, so that's why I'm asking you now.
And
If the government is doing it, then who is going to hold the private sector accountable?
well, let me tell you what I intend to do at some point. I intend to move a motion in the Senate where I sit, calling on the government to do the things I just said. If you do it, you must tell the worker. If you do it and the worker suffering a loss, you must compensate the worker for the loss. And maybe a motion in the Senate, and hopefully I can get some support from my colleague senators who are in opposition. But if I was in government, if the PNP was in government, I'd be lobbying Mark Bolden, I'd be lobbying Julian Robinson to bring legislation to the parliament to stop this practice. And I tell you why, Shaq. What the Ministry of Health is doing is it's just so disingenuous. Because you know what? If a doctor out at Port Antonio, for example, work overtime, you know that overtime is not paid at the end of January. Because we're in January now. So if a doctor work overtime, and you can ask any of the doctors out there, if they work overtime this month, it's not going to be paid at the end of January. So you think it will be paid when? February? No. That money worked in January is not going to be paid until March. So the government knows in advance how much money it has to pay for overtime. 2 months in advance. Same thing at St. Anne's Bay, same thing at Port Maria, and another bay. So there's no need to be using the workers' money for these things. And so
Lambert
that
Brown,
money should be
you see
sent over.
this one is distasteful, but I also want to remind the viewers and listeners that you said it is not new. It was
Not
happening under previous administration, and former Minister of Health, Horace Daly, had put a stop to it.
correct.
And that was from Horace
Way
Daly was
back.
Minister of Health in when? When was that?
Well, certainly in the last Porsche regime, he was minister.
Right. So between 2012 and 2016. And
Yeah.
then it started back under this administration.
Horace was certain there in 20 up to 07. So it starts back and it's bad. And it needs to be stopped. That's my position. But not only that, but I want to call upon the government to stop telling lie on the doctors. Because the government told the tribunal initially that the cost to pay overtime to the doctor would be $103 billion. We told
$103 billion.
Yeah, we told the tribunal nothing goes so. The government does not have to concede that it's not going to cost not even a third of the $100 billion that they talk about. Would you believe me, Shaka, that the doctors who are now fighting for overtime, some of them, for example, come to work yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, work the normal hours, 8 to 4, between 4 p.m. Friday to Saturday morning, 8 a.m., they are doing 16 hours. And if they are scheduled to work on Saturday, they have to do 24 hours. And if they're scheduled to work on Sunday, they have to do 24 hours. So they come to
Hold on, Lammy. A
quiet.
doctor working for 24 hours?
No, wrong. Not 24 hours. They come to work 8 o'clock Friday morning.
Yeah.
They work in 4 p.m. That's 8 hours.
Yeah.
Then they're doing emergency duty from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next morning. That's 16 hours. 16 and 8, 24. And if Saturday morning they're rostered, not them choosing, no, they're rostered to work, then Saturday is 24 hours. That's 48 hours. Hold on, don't put me yet. That's 48 hours. And if they're rostered also for Sunday, and when I tell you, I saw it going on, they have to do that 24 hours on Sunday too, So that's 24 and 24, that's 48, plus 48, plus 24, right? That's what, 72. And then they have to come back Monday morning at 8 o'clock and work in 4 p.m. That's what your doctors have to do.
Hold on. Lammy, you're sure how you just explain? Because the question I know everybody on everybody's lips now, is that safe?
Shaka, when you ask me if I'm sure, when the doctors tell me, I tell them that they're telling me a lie. And then they bring the rastas come. And then they bring the bodies come and say, see that this person, right? That's what all that, you see, Shaka, when we go to the hospital, if we're sick, we'll probably spend 10 hours and we'll probably see 1 or 2 doctors. Or we go to hospital, we go visit. We visit for 1 hour. Or depends on who in the hospital, 2 hours. But we don't know that the doctor we see Friday evening don't leave till Monday evening.
But
in many cases.
Lambert, Senator, hold on. Senator Lambert Brown, is this safe for a doctor to be working these long hours looking after patient?
It's not safe. I can tell you more. Yesterday, I was in a meeting with the doctors dealing with Mandeville Hospital. And with Black River down, there's a flood of patients from St. Elizabeth coming into Mandeville now. The doctors there are complaining about being burnt out. And the need for the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Finance to provide additional resources there.
Lambert,
Yeah.
Senator Brown, when a human being is tired, your decision making is warped.
Is impaired. You're absolutely right. And that the doctors, let me tell you this, the doctors are not the ones who are choosing to work overtime, you know.
Somebody in the chat room is saying that is illegal and
I don't-
dangerous.
It is dangerous. But that's what is scheduled. So there's some legality there. But people, it's a shocker. I said to the doctors, part of the problem is that people in Jamaica don't know the conditions under which you work. There are doctors who have to work every day for the month, you know.
Nothing can go so, Senator Brown. It cannot.
Shaka.
There must be something in the health profession that
Shaka,
said that can't happen.
Say with me, it shouldn't go so. Say that.
A pilot can't fly for certain amount of hours.
Should not fly from. But if that pilot was working for the government of Jamaica, he would have flight in his sleep around the wheels.
No. We may be short of doctors.
Yeah.
But this is not safe.
I agree with you. It's absolutely not safe, which is why the doctors are saying, if you're burning us out, so. I mean, one doctor went to the tribunal and said, the way my schedule is, I can't even go to my mother birthday party.
What?
You understand me? I can't even go to my mother birthday party.
Jesus Christ.
When the doctor has schedule, you know, they have to be able to reach the hospital within few minutes, you know. So that means that they can't go church, they can't go movie, they can't go party, they better sit down by them phone. Because that phone ring and them no answer. It's problem with the doctor.
One of my best friend is a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to work in the public sector.
Yeah.
And he used to say to me that, Shaka, may I try set myself so I can left out of this public sector thing. Yeah. And he's now out of the public sector. Running his private practice. And no, when you say this to me, I understand why.
Shaka.
Because you have no life.
Shaka, in St. Mary, a doctor dropped down dead at the hospital.
What?
Find out, yes.
And they are not at the hospital?
Some time ago, yes. Find out how much hours he was working before he dropped down dead. You don't understand what I'm going on?
Hold on.
But let me add one other thing to it, Shaka. When the doctor now work overtime and they're rusted, and them choose to work overtime, they're rusted to work overtime.
Yeah.
So you go put them to an hospital tonight and you need an emergency surgery. The surgeon have to be on call to come save your life.
Yes, I understand the on call, yes.
Let me explain this to you now. When they're on this emergency hours call, right? You know what is the rate of pay them getting now? Them getting 2021 salary for the overtime. In other words, everybody else in government is getting the current salary. So you multiply the overtime rate by the current salary.
Yeah.
The doctors' overtime right now, that's what they're fighting for at the tribunal, is based on 2021 rate of pay. How much year is that?
4.
No, sir. At 2026, we don't know.
Tala. We still at 2025.
All right.
5 years.
Approaching 5 years.
5 years out.
And there have been salary changes along the line. But the doctor's salary have not changed for purposes of overtime. So I want to be clear. Their salary have changed, but the rate at which they are paid overtime is still at
2021.
2021. And nothing of that I have told you tonight, this morning here, Shaka, can be contested successfully. In other words, Tufton want to come, let's debate it. If anybody in the Ministry of Health want to come, let's debate it. You know why I can say this? I have put all of this information before the tribunal, and not one of it has been contradicted by the government.
Well, I tell the listeners and viewers of Portland Spice TV that our mantra is not balance. Our mantra is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God.
Indeed. What I come here is the truth, and I challenge anybody to contest it. You know, I mean, let me tell you, people see the doctors and sometimes they envy the doctors, but they don't know what the doctors have to go through. You know, I mean, when a doctor said to me, "Boy, Senator Brown, after me done all them long hours there, you know, me I go home one day, you know, and me just fall asleep behind the wheel. I turn my Hero Spark, you know. Turn me car in a Hero Spark coming from KPH, you know. And just lock it up and sleep in my car, and I'm calling my husband and tell him, say, me in a Hero Spark asleep." That's what it does. You don't understand what the doctors face, you know. After these long hours, right? I'm going to tell you something that will shock your shocker.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it publicly because they can't deny it. I've said it at the tribunal. We're in a meeting with a senior official at the Ministry of Finance. The government come with a new policy which says nobody should work more than 15 hours per week as overtime. And that's on good.
Yeah.
But 1 day for the doctor is 16 hours from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m.
So if
So
you get 15 hours
doctor,
overtime on that is 31 hours.
1 day for the doctor is more than 1 week. When we said to the government, I said to the senior official in the ministry, your policy of 15 hours can't work for the doctor. 15 hours a week can't work for the doctors. Suppose a minister of government meeting a motor vehicle accident, and that minister can't fly out to Jamaica for treatment, and so had to be taken to one of the hospitals. And while in the theater being stabilized so that the minister can fly, go foreign, go get treatment, the nurse, the theater technician who is key to the operating theater said, "Doc, my 15 hours gone for the week, you know.
Done.
So I have to leave." And him say, "Go and call the permanent secretary and get permission for my work more than 15 hours. And the nurse said later on, "My one up to you, Doc." And the doc said, "Right, it's my one up to you. What do they do with the minister and the operating theater table?
Leave him on the table."
They don't want that happen, man, want treatment. But you know what, Shaka? You know what the senior official in the ministry tell me?
Yeah.
That the doctors should be able to plan surgery to fit into the 15 hours a week.
So how you plan an emergency surgery?
I mean, I ask that, Shaka.
Yes.
I don't miss it so. A senior official. You know what? One doctor get faced in a meeting and said to the senior government official, "Should we go and talk to the gunmen as to how much people they should shoot in the night so we will have less work to do?"
Or when they should shoot them.
Yeah. So the doctor said, "You want we go talk to the gunman then to determine how much people get shot on a night?" So the senior officials in the Ministry of Finance don't understand reality. That's what the doctors are fighting for at the tribunal now. For them to understand the reality and to understand that the shortage of healthcare workers. I'm not making it up, you know. Tufton Tufton said in the Western region, they are short 27% of healthcare workers in the Western region. In the biggest region, and that's the second largest region.
Right.
In the Southeast region, Southeast St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Catherine,
Yes.
they are short over 1,000 out of 7,600 healthcare workers. So a shortage of staff is going to lead to more overtime being needed if you're going to cover 24 hours.
But
And I ask you, do you want your health system, you want your hospital to shut down at the Ministry of Finance is essentially shut down at 5 o'clock in the evening. You want your hospital to shut down at 5 o'clock?
so there's a major health crisis in Jamaica, Senator Brown.
There is, but you wouldn't know that if you listen to Tufton. You wouldn't know that if you listen to Andrew Owens.
Before I let you go, Senator Brown, we must talk about the wage dispute or the wage negotiations
Yeah.
that should have been completed from April of last year. Where are we with those?
You know, Shaka, the government came just before the election and proposed 2%. 2%. That was rejected by the teachers, the civil service, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions. They're supposed to come back to us. They wrote the Confederation recently saying that they're busy and they're trying to set some new dates. So we expect some new dates to come. But you know what happened? Come next month is budget time. The budget has to be presented in February. So they have a big risk because they don't know what last year's salary was going to be. The only good thing is that I am seeing a document in which the money they project for this year, 25, 26,
Yes.
is larger than they had projected in February. In other words, the supplementary budget, the third supplementary budget, has a higher figure, and therefore, hopefully, there's room for the negotiation to proceed quickly and smoothly, so we could put last year behind us and take care of this year, because I don't think the Confederation is going to go into a contract for more than 2 years.
Senator Brown, we look forward to speaking to you again.
And Shaka, you keep up the good work.
Some startling revelation this morning.
Well, you know, all I want to do is tell the truth. What I'd love you to do, I beg you one favor. Call the officials in the Ministry of Health and tell them to deny what I say.
Well, this is out there, and we're calling them to come and refute this.
Correct. And I have all the receipts. So let them come. Bless you, Shaka.
We'll talk again pretty soon.
Bless you. Bless you.
Senator Lambert Brown, my listeners and viewers, can you believe the stuff you heard this morning? We have more interview to come, but no, what you have heard so far, listeners and viewers, can you really believe this stuff? Madam Producer?
I remember one day we went to Manchester to buy fish.
Yes.
And
I don't know if the people are hearing you. Maybe you need to come around this side. You go Manchester to buy fish.
And the boat just come in. And I said to the fisherman, good evening. He never answered. I said, good evening, sir. He never answered. I said, hi, sir, good evening. And the man still never answered.
Yeah. After you call to him about 4 times, he didn't answer you.
The 5th time.
Yeah.
He said, So I was saying, what kind of businessman this?
Yeah.
Because you are selfish and me come to buy fish. And me tell you good evening and you not answer me. I remember saying to Julian King.
Hold on it, boy.
I don't understand this man.
Yeah.
And Julian said to me, you never hear hear the story say when fishermen come from sea, you know, if you talk to them as them come in, they must make them wait a bit,
Yeah.
hours, because true they have been on the sea for
So
quite some hours,
yeah.
or maybe a night or so.
Mm.
You have to make them come back.
To land.
So I am just imagine, because you're at sea, you know.
Yeah.
So all you're seeing is water
Yeah.
and maybe fish and who you go there with. So just imagine a doctor being on the job for 72 hours,
Madness.
attending to emergency,
Mm-hmm.
attending to babies, attending on the ward. I can just imagine. It's sad.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's all I can say. It's crazy. Ed boy, morning. Ed boy, I am hearing you though. Ed boy. All right, hold on, Ed boy. Let me change this lead. Madam producer, there's a lead over there. Fine one. No, that one. That one. No man, underneath. No man, see the point there? The goal point. Yes, yes. I realize I'm having problem with this phone from morning. Let me change the connection. Let's change the connection. Hold on, my listeners and viewers. Ed boy would have heard all that a while ago. I want to come in, but not connection, not so bossy on the caller's phone from morning. So let me sort that out. This should be better. Let me try get back Ed boy now. Hold on. Ed boy, you hearing me now? Ed boy, you hearing me? Hello? Ed boy. Ed boy, you're not hearing me. Hold on. Hello? Ed boy? All right, Ed boy, I'm going to call you. Because I am not hearing you now. Hold on. You hearing me, Ed boy? Not hearing Ed boy at all. Stay on the line, Ed boy. Stay on the line. Stay on the line. If you're hearing me, stay on the line. Let me try and do something different because he's a magician when it comes to this channel here, you know. He's a magician. It don't go around me so easy. It don't go around me so easy. Hold on, Ed boy. Just stay with me. Don't move. Don't move. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me, Ed boy. Let me work some magic. Let me work some magic here. Let me work some magic. All right, Ed boy, you hearing me now?
I am hearing you, but there's an echo on your side.
Yeah, man, I'm going to fix that too.
Okay.
I'm going to fix all of that. My name is Fix It.
Well, that's your profession, you know. Nobody can take it from you.
Yeah, man. So we fix it.
Exactly. You're a sound engineer.
Yes, man. Them never know.
I know that.
Go ahead, Ed boy. Talk to me.
Blessings to you, brother, and let me greet your listeners and greet the entire Jamaica. Right?
Yes.
I thought I went to a party last night saying I trying to play young.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oi.
I got up late, but
Mhm.
I heard Rosemary Shaw when she was on.
Mhm.
And Rose, you know, Rose is the rose from St. Thomas, the rose that came up from the concrete. Yeah?
Yes.
And she has blossomed into a beautiful rose. Yeah?
Mhm.
And I want to tell Rosemary Shaw, she always has our support. She's just an awesome individual and a loving woman. And she
Yes.
loves people. She loves her people of St. Thomas, not just Eastern, the
Yes.
entire St. Thomas. And so I want to commend her and tell her stand her ground.
Yes.
And by the way, I can confirm what Rosemary Shaw said about what has been happening in the Charleses, their role in using Pernell Charles Jr. to undermine Rosemary Shaw. And I'm making a public appeal to Pernell Charles Jr., who I know very well. And I
Yes.
say so with no water in my mouth because of political years fighting against his father in politics. And I want to say to Pernell Charles, is this the legacy you want to leave? Is this the legacy you return from the United States for? If it is not, then consider doing the right thing. Now, on to Lami's comments, because I suffered the same fate when I was working for the ministry, on the Ministry of Transport and Works. No,
Yes.
Ministry of Transport, because Works was removed from my cabinet. And what we had was they were, for example, one day I went to check up on my NHT benefits because I do keep a check on it a lot because I say, you know, I mean, no want nobody taking out my NHT and it's not being paid.
Yes.
Did you know that between 2000 and so some people going to know when I was at the airport now. So between let's say 2017 and 2021, there was no payments made by the statutory body of government to NHT. But they were taking out NHT. You know, down there, there were also persons who were on salary deductions. I've never taken a loan in my life, but I think one point I had to. It was not, yes, I had to do a salary deduction, right? Which is maybe a standing out on your account. So it was once I had to do a loan there, and Stalin, they had it not been for the relationship I had with the institution at the time, the amount of penalties I would have paid. These people were taking out the fund, taking out the deductions from your pay, and they were never sending it to the financial institutions.
Oh my God.
Now, Lamy pointed out something that Comrade Horace Daly did, and I want to remind people that it's not just in 2013 when he took over from Fenton, or 14 when he took over from Fenton, that he started doing this at the Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
He's been doing from he took over from Comrade John Jr. and he was the first minister to put down his feet and said, "No, this cannot happen. We have to deal with this immediately." And when he went to the
isn't that breaking the law?
Yes, Colin, it is. And he went to the Ministry of Finance with Peter Phillips, and he further went into a proposal that said to all, remember, this is the Ministry of Finance, and this was the Minister of Public Sector and with the public sector and public service, And he issued, and I need to speak to Horace as well to find out if we can go back to see the memo that was issued by him when he was minister and was at Ministry of Finance, which said to all executive agencies and statutory bodies, you must desist from this nasty practice of allowing people to be embarrassed. We had some fair share. I remember I was on the airport one day, and these people came for people with, what you call it, bailiff order.
Yeah.
Imagine, Colin, you're out there walking, boasting.
Remember, Lamy said a doctor came outside and his car was missing,
So Lamy is correct. So I have experienced it. I haven't been in the system myself for over 5 years. So I know what I'm talking about. Yeah? These guys are a bunch of scammers, thieves, and liars. And I'm not mincing my words. Because what if you remember, you take people's money under the pretense that you're handing it over.
Yes.
It come like Arthur Burt. Yeah? I don't understand how we have arrived here. But Colin, I just want to wrap up in saying I want to discuss something with you.
Yes.
And in saying that we are political prophets over this program.
Yes.
Yes. We predicted very clearly that the government, I don't call them a regime because I will never use that word, but that the government and the people of Venezuela will transition quickly.
Yes.
And quickly they will. Now, if you realize that all the political prisoners have been released in Venezuela, every single one, barring none. Yes? No one is telling the Western media that. No one is telling people that Delcy Rodriguez has made it clear that no one must be persecuted, no one must be harassed. Allow them to have their views. Venezuela is in a transitionary mode, and Venezuela is ready again to do business with the world.
And it's Venezuela is friends of everyone, enemies of none, and satellite of any. And that's a fact.
She's going to be
So,
meeting with Donald Trump when? Sometime next week?
well, yes, and it is expected because they're going to normalize relations. They're going to remove the OFAC sanction, which prevents Venezuela from selling it oil. But I can tell you, somebody who's not going to get even a drip to even a barrel to taste until they pay the the money that they expropriated from PDVSA is Andrew Holness and Andrew Wheatley and Darrell Vaz.
No,
Yeah?
but
And
it's
let me
not
tell you,
about Andrew Holness and Andrew Wheatley and Darrell Vaz. It's about the people of Jamaica.
no, but Colin, I am defending and I am even, I'll say this with no water in my mouth. I am saying to the Venezuelans, demand your money from the government of Jamaica.
It's
They
not a
have
lot of
15
money. 1 million US.
No, who tell about 1 million US? You crazy? When they expropriated the shares from PDVSA, it was more than that.
I asked Raleigh. When did I ask Raleigh? Last week or earlier this week? And I think it said it was about 1 million US that they were
I
going to
don't
invest in Petrojam to expand Petrojam.
No, you mean remember I'm referring to what happened in 2018.
Then that is the
When
piece of money that we had for Venezuela. Venezuela had put up that money to expand Petrojam. And
yes,
then the government hold on that money because they were planning to close Petrojam.
okay, well, I can tell them now, and I'm instructing the government to do the right thing. Yeah, I am not asking them. Asking is different. Instructing is telling them. Yeah, I am telling them to immediately release the funds to the people of Venezuela. So the Venezuelan embassy that Camino, as foreign affairs minister, knows the people can't pay the rent, know they can't pay the staff because they have no access to banking in because they have been cut off from SWIFT. Yeah, so no Venezuelan bank can send anything to them. The PCJ, the Petroleum Corporation building that was built by the sweat, blood, and tears of the Venezuelan people, yeah, that they gave us as gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are telling me we were running them out of the building, Colin. A lot of people did not know that.
No, I
The
didn't know that.
Venezuelan embassy could not pay its rent. And instead of the government looking on their books and saying, okay, you owe us, so let us keep a blank check. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we owe you,
This
not you us. We owe you.
exactly.
We owe
So
Venezuela.
I'm saying that this is a matter that needs to be seriously looked at, and it's a matter that the people need their money. And I'm telling you, all of you who are singing and dancing and praying for the downfall of Venezuela, you have a lady who is even more stronger than Maduro, not like his tendencies, if you want to say, but she's very strong. And she's
Okay.
not going to play with those snakes that were in the grass. Yeah, we know them. And the number one is Kamina Johnson Smith and Andrew Holness. You know, Colin, I had a discussion with you. You are aware that Chenkitz is now leading CARICOM as the chair. Yeah?
Yes.
And there's also the Minister of Foreign Affairs that they have a body, and I think St. Lucia, St. Kitts, and Jamaica is on that. So I was on a particular spot, and I saw the Minister of Foreign Affairs here. So we are very cordial because he was the former Prime Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas. So I saw him and I said, Dr. Douglas, I'm not asking you for your opinion, but I am telling you to watch Kamina Johnson Smith. She's a snake. As the diplomat he is, he smiled. Because I'm telling you, Colin, what is happening with this relationship that we're seeing, a normalization of the United States relationship with Venezuela.
Yeah.
It can only argue good for us in Jamaica. And I tell you why. There are a lot of people in Jamaica who, by the way, in the A days when Venezuela was Venezuela, they used to go down to Venezuela and sell.
Oh?
Yes, similarly to when they would go to Colombia and buy goods and Panama. Yeah. So a stabilized Venezuela is a very good thing for Jamaica. And so without saying much on that anymore, we want to wish the Venezuelan people well, and we want to see the health and wealth of Venezuela, because we have never forgotten our friends, and we'll never forget our friends in good times and in bad times.
Well, Venezuela, they will be coming back, Ed Boy.
Of course.
And we are happy that Venezuela will be coming back. I mean, the oil is important. All of us want to get a piece of it. And we see where Donald Trump is talking about his piece of it. Him saying getting what, 30 million barrels?
The only oil that America will get
Mm-hmm.
is the oil that they have been taking from the tankers.
You
Let's be real.
You think so?
I am telling you.
Him say, the man say,
Him
if
could
she not
say
play a
anything
ball,
water.
she's going to
Uh-huh.
suffer a worse fate than Madura.
Okay, and I'll tell you why that argument is illogical, nonsensical, and it's coming from a melomaniac. That's what Bruce Golding called him, a melomaniac. Yeah?
Mm.
And why it is coming from a melomaniac is because he knows, one, the Venezuela will never, and if they're paying, by the way, they will get it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But they're not going to make any preferential option of trade with America for them to get their oil. By the way, I'll tell you why Trump is moving in this way. I remind your listeners, there was a man that was called Rex Tillerson. He was the then foreign affairs he was like Rubio in 2018, yeah, under the Trump administration. He was brought from ExxonMobil as the then big head at ExxonMobil. He was making $180 million a year as a director in ExxonMobil. When he was brought in, his first action was to sanction the purchasing of Venezuelan oil. Yeah? And these are the same boys who now are trying to resurface and trying to go back into Venezuela. By the way, let's make
Yeah, man, I'm listening, Ed boy. Sorry about that.
right. So let's not make any mistake. This notion about owning and getting and collecting, it is a figment of some people's mind in Washington. It will not happen unless they pay.
Well,
it will not.
It is a pregnancy, so we will see what is coming.
Yeah, but you know, a question was asked of President Trump, and I'll show you how. And you know, this is not to be critical to President Trump. We have no bad blood against the United States. We love US. A matter of fact, our friends and family there are there. And so we have nothing against the United States. And I like to declare that openly, yeah? But we look and we see, the question was asked of President Trump. Will you go in and capture Putin, like how you went in and captured? And I'll show you.
Capture who?
And I'll show you how people like to backpedal. And I'll show you how coward the man who's pretending to be brave is. He says, "Oh well, you know, there's no need for that. Oh, we've been working with President Putin. By the way, we have very good friendship. Putin respects me. He loves me. Yeah, I'm simply saying, bro, this is this insanity of insanity, right? Imagine 23,000 soldiers are dying in the Ukrainian war. There is in Sudan, there is a genocide happening in Sudan. Yeah, there's a genocide happening in parts of Yemen and other places. And you're telling me that the United States does not have any interest in any of these places, but they have so much interest in our backyard. But as Bruce Golding said to Andrew Holness, I will say to Andrew Holness again, you could be next.
Well, Bruce Golding said no Caribbean leader is safe. None.
And he gave the example and he said Andrew Holness could be next.
Yeah, man. None of them not safe because
no, but I'm wondering if he's speaking from, as we know in psychology, you know, you have your id, your ego.
Did he say Andrew Holness could be next? Did he say that?
He said it. You need to go back to the plate. He said the idea that the government of the United States could just come and pick up Andrew Holness and go with him. He said it. Go and look back on the tape.
Yeah, I'll check back the tape.
So I am saying, Bruce Golding, and you know, I respect Bruce. What do you know that we don't know? Because that is an interesting statement to make.
Well, I think Bruce felt the hands of the US, you know, because remember, Bruce had to resign. To date, nobody knew exactly why Bruce Golding stepped aside.
We know exactly why he stepped aside.
Well,
what do you mean nobody know? Because they were lobbying the United States without having the same thing Kamina Johnson Smith did last year.
There were lots
or
of
the year
there
before.
are speculation, Ed boy. Nobody knows factually. and of course we have our own views on why.
And we're entitled to it, of course.
Yes,
Yeah, but
yes.
I really welcome Bruce Golding's comments.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, I am of the view, and I am now of the view that we should have men like Bruce Golding, men like PJ Patterson, Bruce Golding, Ralph Gonzalez, these people who are not afraid to sit in the room.
Well, Bruce spoke, PJ spoke, Sir Ralph spoke.
Yeah.
But what
Matt
are your views on what Andrew Holness said at the prayer breakfast or that prayer meeting over there in Portmore?
Why you think that is where I was heading to? And I'm telling you, it is interesting. Bruce Golding talked about the need, what could possibly happen to any prime minister. And then I said the entire cabinet was there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, if Andrew Holness has never been scared in his life, he's now scared. If he has never been, the bro God, bro God, turn bro boy. Turn bro boy.
Well, Ed boy, let me thank you for your views this morning. One love, my brother. We'll talk.
Brother, you know it is.
Yeah, man. Blessings. Thanks to Ed boy. Rally morning.
Yeah, man.
Boy, we're there this morning. We spoke to Rosemary Shaw earlier. We spoke to Lambert Brown, and some startling revelation came forward this morning. Rose is saying to us that she have receipt that Michelle Charles on the 18th of October collected stuff from Western Sports from the Constituency Development Fund. Exactly 1 month after Rosemary Shaw was sworn in as MP. Lambert Brown has been telling us that doctors are working for 24, sometimes 48, up to 72 hours straight. What can go so? Raleigh, we played a clip this morning where the government is saying that they collected $9 billion less in taxes. Speak to us about that. Raleigh?
Hello?
Yeah, man, I'm saying.
Yeah, man, I'm here now.
We played a clip this morning where the
yeah, go ahead.
The Bank of Jamaica, the government is saying that they collected $9 billion less in taxes. You hear me, Raleigh?
Yeah, man, I hear.
Yeah, man, $9 billion less in taxes. Speak to us about that. I'm not hearing Raleigh.
And I'm saying, Bill, that they never told the.
They never did what? I don't know why Raleigh dropping its buff or Raleigh's buffing. So Raleigh sound like a minute. Go ahead now, Raleigh. Look like we can hear you now.
I'm saying to you, they never told the public that. I'm the one who told the public that first.
Yes, you told us that, so we knew here, but now it is in the news.
Yeah. Right.
So is it a compulsion now that they had to lego that?
Yeah, man. Because I reached it.
So
they wanted 524 and they collected 565.
They are saying that they paid less on the debt. The last amount they were supposed to pay was $100 billion, and they paid $500 million less than they wanted to pay.
Yeah, that's in terms of repayments, but in terms of the primary surplus, the servicing component,
yes,
they were paying 74 billion when 72 billion was necessary.
Oh, so they're paying wholly more than we need to pay.
Yeah, man, they were still doing that at that time.
Well, give us an update, Raleigh, on the week that just ended as it relates to our financials in Jamaica.
Well, that was the big news. Tax revenues running $9 billion below budget. On the other side, we saw the dollar now up to 158. And we are therefore warning the governor that they are going too hard. They are squandering the reserves and they are affecting Jamaica's competitiveness because It can be that our inflation is higher than all our trading partners in the world.
Yes.
Our trade deficit is widening. Our foreign exchange earning sectors are collapsing, while at the same time, the dollar climbing by $2 in a matter of days. That's total rubbish. That's voodoo economics. Yeah.
So
So you're going too hard.
So you're saying that they are pumping too much in the foreign exchange market?
Yeah, and it is not supported by economic fundamentals. So it's a waste of money.
Wow. How much they put in since the year start?
$75 million.
Wow. So the dollar is now at 58 what?
$158 and change.
$158 and change.
And there's no economic fundamentals to support that.
Wow. Wow.
It's like a building without foundation.
Yes.
As I'm saying.
Because we're not producing.
No. Right. So people looking on at that now is no say that is total rubbish because you have nothing to back it. So except the results.
What's the intention of the governor of Jamaica? Of the governor of the Bank of Jamaica? Where does he want to bring the dollar to?
Well, that's the question I'm asking him, and that's the question I'm going to ask him on Monday morning. Why is it that you're doing this? Because there's nothing to support this in terms of the inflation numbers. There's nothing to support this in terms of the exports. There's nothing to support this in terms of the flows from tourism, BPO, and remittances. So why is the currency appreciating so fast? It shouldn't be appreciating at all, but less so fast.
Should I just keep it stable? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's affecting our competitiveness because how the dollar can move so fast upwards while we're not doing nothing.
With no production.
Madness. That's total madness, economic madness.
Well, we're watching them in a rally, but
yeah, man.
As you are saying, what they're doing with the dollar at this time, no really make no sense.
Don't make sense. Don't make any sense. And that's my message to him, and that's my focus on Monday morning.
You're going to get to talk to him, or you're going to just put it out?
No, I'm just pushing it out to the people and getting the people to understand what to cause the dollar to appreciate. And none of those things.
Hold on.
It is appreciated.
All right, somebody said they have a question for you. Go ahead, let me see if we can hear you on this phone now.
Ralston, good morning to everyone. Uncle Ralston, so where are they getting this US dollars? Where are they getting this money then? Income, revenue to fund this? Because you're right. There is no revenue from the credible sources that we know. You named them a while ago. So where are they getting this US money or this money to fund to keep the dollar where it is, and they're overfunding it? Are they washing money?
Hold on, caller.
No, this is money that
hold on, caller. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Riley.
Yeah, man. This is money that was built up in the system before Hurricane Melissa, the remittance flows before Melissa, and the flows from the tourism sector before Melissa. Yeah, so this is money that they had before. Yeah.
And then the money that we got from the cat bonds. All of those going to all of those US dollars go to the Bank of Jamaica that is in the reserve.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And the money from the CRIF, yeah, both the cat bonds and the CRIF.
And the CRIF. So that is what they are using.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Raleigh, how long will that money last? Well, they're going to get more from the multilaterals, right?
Precisely.
But if we continue to use it.
That is why he's doing what he's doing, rather than using it judiciously. Right now, he's using it in a one-time fashion, because the fact of the matter, if you bring up the value of it too quickly, then you'll affect what we call our export competitiveness. Jamaican goods will become more expensive to the foreigners. So we already have the problem in relation to energy.
Yeah, well, we lost that, Raleigh. You say we have the problem in relation to energy?
Well, they have the problem.
You're dropping out, Raleigh.
In relation to the weaknesses in our labor force.
Hold on, Raleigh, you need to repeat for us. Where you started by saying we already have problems in what areas?
And energy, high cost of energy.
Yes.
Poor quality. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Raleigh.
Yeah, and he's having another problem by appreciating the value of the dollar in a very one-ton way.
What kind
That
of
doesn't make any sense.
list out some of the issues that we can have by doing what he's doing?
The main issue is that we lose our competitiveness. We're already uncompetitive. So that will make us even more uncompetitive and make it more difficult to export. Simple. Simple.
So our goods are going to become expensive.
Right. So you used to buy Jamaican goods at 160 and then within 2 weeks now, you're buying at 150. That don't make sense.
So
That don't make sense.
So that means we might start exporting less? Raleigh?
In a sense.
Does that mean we might start export? We might see export. Does that mean we might see export go down based on the costs?
In that direction, that's what is going to happen. Remember, the foreigner was buying at 160, and now you're telling man you're selling at 158. I'm asking, them thing where you are selling me, you can find other places to buy them from. Yeah, and I like say I said, people must buy. All out of a third world country, I say the same thing.
But what about the fact that if the dollar is at 158, it's going to cost us less to buy oil and buy the things that we are importing?
Yeah, but remember that you also need to earn in order to keep on supporting that. So how you explain to the public that you were comfortable at 160? Yeah, because remember they started to defend the currency at 158 aggressively now and waste all of our reserves. So why you bring it back to 150?
But why shouldn't he? Because there are people who want to would say to you now, but Raleigh, you sound bad mind because the dollar is now down to 158. Why would you want the dollar to stay at 160?
All right. So the question then, my response to that is that you don't know about economics. I'm not bad minded. I know about economics. So the question would be going back to the governor.
But shouldn't there be government policies that guides what the Bank of Jamaica does, even though it's independent from the government, Raleigh? We didn't hear that.
What he's trying to do is to overcompensate for the weaknesses in government policies and getting himself in a trouble.
So you are saying that there's weakness in government policy. There's no policy from the government to guide how the governor of the Bank of Jamaica operates?
Yeah, well, the point I'm making is that
you're breaking up again.
When I say that himself now.
Go, yeah, go now. Raleigh, I don't know if you're moving, but you're breaking up again. Hello? Raleigh?
Yeah.
You're breaking up.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, man.
There, man.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Yeah, I'm saying what could be going through the governor's head is that, them money now do nothing to restore the economy quickly enough.
Yeah.
So what I do, I carry the dollar to a certain level that they have maneuvering room. You with me? So yes. People, so me protect my thing. Yeah, and that is a problem.
And that's why I was asking if the governor have a target where he wants to take the dollar. Let's say he want to take it down to 165, 155, sorry, and maybe maintain that trajectory.
All right. So the question I would have to ask him then, if you want to try it down to 155, why did it start to defend it aggressively at 158 and waste so much money?
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Explain that. Billions of dollars waste.
Yes, because last year alone he
It's
spent
155 or 158 was the target. 1.1 billion himself. So over the time since he started the Fed at 158, yeah. So why do that then if that is the target? You know, I need to explain that.
I don't know how I'm going to explain that and at what stage. But Raleigh, the estimate them do over the budget the other day. What you call that again? Don't know if I'm having a brain fog. The supplementary budget. The supplementary budget that was presented a couple months ago after the election. After the hurricane. What did that supplementary budget says about where where they should take the dollar and where we would want to go? You heard me, Raleigh? Raleigh, you hear me?
No, those figures are never included in the budget.
Those were not included.
Never.
So obviously,
yeah, man. No finance minister has ever spoken to the exchange rate in a budget.
Oh,
yeah, man. I'm hearing you. I don't know if you not hear me, but I'm saying to you, no finance minister.
So there was nothing in the supplementary budget about that. What about production?
No finance minister does that.
All right, but what about production and where the country should be by when?
No finance minister. Not like that. Not like that.
But what about the
production? An accounting exercise.
What about the production aspect? None was in the last supplementary budget?
No. No, there was nothing about that. It was just an accounting exercise.
In futility and stupidity?
Yeah, man. Not like that.
The recovery rally, have you heard anything about starting to spend this $115 billion that the government have at its disposal?
No. Nothing like that.
Have you heard anything from the agriculture minister that they will be now putting money into the hands of farmers to get them going?
Well, we spoke with him yesterday at the Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee Day thing.
Yes.
And he was saying that we're trying to get the ministry to provide some $4 billion.
He was trying to get the Minister of Finance to provide $4 billion. Don't know, we're having some difficulties with hearing Raleigh this morning. See this buffing again. So, you know, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with hearing Raleigh comfortably this morning. I don't know if I should hang up. Let me hang up and try back Raleigh. Try him differently and see if we can get a better connection this morning, because I want you to hear clearly, you know. Let me try back. Hold on. Not you, Meta. I want to get Ralston man, we're going for. Hold on. Here he is. Hold on. Let me do this. Save. And let me see if I can get Raleigh on a better line so we can have a clearer conversation. Hold on. Need a clearer conversation with Ralston Iman this morning. A whole heap of things out there. All right, let me try him back here. Let me try him back and see if we can get clearer conversation. And viewers and listeners, I had asked Raleigh.
Yeah, man.
All right, I hope we can hear you better now. This is
Yeah, hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, man.
So you said you had a discussion with the Minister of Agriculture yesterday.
A very long discussion, and him said that I am one of his principal advocates and must keep on pushing. What him said is that he want to get $4 billion from the Ministry of Finance over a 4-year period for the coffee farmers in order to rehabilitate the sector, particularly dealing with the infrastructure because the road conditions are in a terrible state.
Over a 4-year period, he want to get $4 billion.
Yeah, man.
What is it that the coffee farmers was asking for so that they can move production and export from 25 million to 100 million?
That's same amount.
They're asking for $1 billion a year.
Yeah, man. Well, first it started at 350 million when I think it was Ardeshaw was the agriculture minister at the time. Yeah. Him saying one carry up to $1 billion a year based on the needs now. And they were providing new seeds, new research, because many of the plants that they have right now are 20, 25 years old. They must support their research and development because they want to raise the output from 30 boxes per acre to 100 boxes per acre.
And how long, and he thinks that he can accomplish that over a 4 years period?
Yeah, man. And so need people for push because, I mean, you know, the system work and everything there. So within the cabinet itself, we need people from outside to push so that people understand what I'm going.
So obviously he's not able to convince the finance minister and the prime minister.
That's why I'm saying I'm glad to have me as an advocate.
Wow. But what I don't know if you saw an article, Ralston, where the Guyanese government was putting $2 billion in the hands of farmers over there.
Yeah, man. Them man is serious, man.
To ensure that their rice production continues.
Yeah, man. That's right. Them man is serious about them.
But we're not doing that.
No, Guyana is a serious place, sir. Them man they take them things seriously. We not take the things seriously, brother.
I tell you our next one, Ralston. In 2022, Minister Bobsy Grange said that we made $2.2 billion US from the culture and the creative industry. You know how much they're saying that we're making this year? $600 million.
That should be very alarming.
$600 million. Let me get the exact figure, because when I saw it this morning, I said to myself, what is happening on our island? Because if we make $2.2 billion in 2022, why should we drop in?
It's a big drop, yeah.
But you know what I believe, Raleigh? That figure that they gave us in 2022 was not true.
Was inflated, okay. Yeah.
It was not true.
Yeah.
And
they haven't given an explanation for the big drop.
No. And the Gleaner, that report is in the Gleaner. That said for 2025, it's going to be $600 million US. Just over 100 billion Jamaican.
Something all right.
Something all right.
Yeah,
something all right. Where is the government expecting to get growth from, Raleigh?
Why them themselves don't know, because that, as I said, them don't give us any growth forecast and don't give us any growth target. There's nothing about growth in what they are doing. All them do is just get an accounting exercise and move one number from the other side to another. There's no overall plan for growth.
No plan.
There's no plan to grow. No.
And therefore, how are we going to pay the civil servants who are looking for a pay increase that was that did not come at the end of last year? So we are going into a second year now. Where are we going to get money from to pay these people?
That's the point. And we're not hearing anything from the Prime Minister in that regard. We're not hearing anything from the Minister of Finance in that regard, the two persons who are primarily responsible for those things. Yep.
Raleigh, give us an update.
Well,
Give us an update on what is happening with Venezuela. How is that going to affect Jamaica and the Caribbean, and how soon we will start seeing the effects of that?
well, we're seeing the effects right now because, as I'm saying to you, people like it's taking people like Bruce Golden, who is in retirement now, to start to talk about these things because the persons who are running the country, they are afraid to talk about these things. So what we're seeing, and I'm saying to you, is that the breach of the international order that has been driving the world for the last 80 years is going to have an effect right across the world. Yeah? In terms of uncertainty and in terms of investments and in terms of all of those things. So all those plans that we have, if the current order continues, what we're going to see is more uncertainty, more stagnation, and less economic growth. The bulk of the world's money is going to go into arms. And what we have seen is that the president says that the more you increase the US defense budget from $900 billion to $1.5 trillion, it means that everybody have a up them thing. Russia have a up them thing.
China
have
up
a up them thing. North Korea have a up them thing. Iran have a up them thing. So most of the world's money will be going into guns rather than butter. So all of them investments that we are talking about for mobilizing all of them things have a create a problem. The next thing, and nobody know how to address it. The Chinese are very active in Jamaica.
Yes.
What does what President Trump said means for Chinese investments in Jamaica, particularly in infrastructure? And can Jamaica rehabilitate its infrastructure quickly and properly without Chinese involvement? Additionally, aluminum prices are now at record highs. The Chinese are in charge of the Alpart aluminum plant. What is the government going to do? Is it going to allow the high prices to pass Jamaica when we need every dollar in foreign exchange because they're afraid to ask the Chinese to come and open the plant because Trump said no one Chinese and a Russian around here? So those are some of the serious implications.
But Raleigh, wouldn't you agree with Prime Minister Andrew Holness that he's not going to get involved and say anything and steer Jamaica into rough waters when we don't have to? And therefore, you would not be saying anything too tough about this whole issue with Venezuela. Wouldn't you agree with him?
Well, what we have to be very obtuse. That's a word that Michael Mann loves to use.
Yeah.
To say that for the Prime Minister to believe that we are going to, or we want him to say to President Trump that I am totally against what they are doing and we find it totally unacceptable and extremely repugnant. Nobody is telling him to tell President Trump that. What we want him to explain to us is what is it that it means for Jamaica, about what President Trump said in relation to Chinese activity, what it means for Jamaica in terms of our quick rollout of our infrastructure, in terms of what the position of the Chinese, what it means for Jamaica in terms of the high aluminum prices while Alpart remains mothballed. We need to explain all of those things to the country. So what he's trying to come up with is a distraction, to say that we are so stupid that we want him to take on President Trump. We know that he can't take on President Trump because we know about the vulnerability of Jamaica in relation to President Trump.
Yeah.
So that's a nonsense. The bottom line, the Prime Minister's response is a nonsense response.
And what?
So like 6B, not even 6A.
We have a question. You have a question for Raleigh caller?
Hello, you hearing me, Colin?
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad Raleigh. I want to ask Raleigh this, right? Because I think somebody said, like Maduro's biggest mistake was, with going. I want to say to go into bed with China. Raleigh, because I'm watching the news, right? And they say for one thing, right? Because of China's investment in Venezuela's oil, Venezuela was able to circumvent the petrodollar, and China was buying Venezuela's oil in yuan. You understand me? And like that was a straw that broke the camel's back with America. know, because like I said, not a backside, this can't happen because the sphere of influence and the hegemony and all of that, it was being broken because other countries, like the BRICS and all of that, they had found ways because of the bully tactics with America. People are finding ways to circumvent the petrodollar. So I want to hear what Raleigh has to say about that.
You hear that, Raleigh?
That's the real reason.
Mm-hmm. That's the
That's the
real
real reason.
That's the real reason why Trump went in there.
Yeah, man.
But what do you say to people who say that this was a brilliant strategy by President Trump to basically put pressure on China without firing a shot at China? Because most of China oil come from Venezuela, and the fact that Trump is now about to control China oil, that is going to put Trump is about to control Venezuela oil, that is going to put China under serious problem.
Mm-hmm. China have all of the oil they can get from Russia, but now put the Chinese under pressure significantly. Additionally, China is the largest holder, individual holder of U.S. government debt. A lot of people don't know that. China is the largest individual holder of the $38 trillion in the U.S. government debt.
How much them owe China?
Majority of the trillions of dollars. We can't get the exact figure now, but China is the largest holder.
Yes.
So China can significantly start selling those debt and the US dollar will collapse.
Wow.
Additionally, all them big companies that we're here about, NVIDIA and all of them places, China are the main market, US technology company.
Mm-hmm.
So while here President Trump went up in mouth and chatting whole party, Jensen Wang and all of them technology man them not support what he must say about China. Them say you can't decouple from China because this will make most of our money. So the US cannot exist without China. Yeah? That's two. And three, Xi Jinping said they make him king to take back Taiwan because Taiwan is a rogue state.
Yeah.
Yeah? So when Trump doing that Venezuela, he now have no moral authority to come talk to Xi Jinping when Xi Jinping take back Taiwan. In fact, while he was doing things in Venezuela, Xi Jinping was conducting mock exercises around Taiwan. So they say, yo, anytime they're going to stop this. So what matter is accelerate that.
Wow.
Simple. Mm-hmm. Putin said, him will start doing work on Satan 2. Yeah? So what matter now is completing work on Satan 2, which is the intercontinental ballistic missile where he said nobody can stop. So all Trump will accelerate the arms race and make America more vulnerable.
Yeah.
What happened? At the end of it, America will be the falling empire. Simple.
Raleigh.
So I don't want to stick with America. I don't want to diversify. The message up to Jamaica right now, make sure you diversify your trading partners and reduce your dependence on America. Because Africa is the wave of the future, Latin America and Asia. Yeah? So if you want to see another Tom coattail forever and ever, you'll end up being the loser.
And
America is going to be the loser at the end of this year.
We need to start producing more food to take care of our food security.
Security. Bottom line.
Final question.
Final question, Pinky. And NATO calling a rally. NATO has ramped up, whatever, because them not take away because of the Greenland situation. NATO has ramped up arms or whatever, because them not take it for life. And I read something, I don't know if it's true. If Raleigh has read that where Trump called Canada to get uranium, and them say Carney tell him point blank, no, you're not get it. So I don't know if Raleigh know anything about that. But NATO now take it lying down. NATO is ready to go. All right, so me listen.
Yeah, man, thank you. You hear that, Raleigh?
All right. Yeah, that's another problem that people not understand. Well, I they understand the world even more than the brother them say them around Jamaica. Yeah. On the Article 5 on NATO, if you touch one, you touch all.
Yes.
Yeah? So once Trump attempt to use force to get Greenland, it means that him and all of the NATO man them in a problem.
Man, whole of Europe. Whole of Europe.
Whole of Europe in a problem. Yep. And then man they have a roll with China. Yeah. Them started already. Yeah. Right. And she right. Can't say so as I tell you, what Trump is excellent in America. So all who stick to America could tell you're on the wrong side of history, which is where Andrew Wallace and the people who are on Jamaica find themselves.
Finally, Raleigh, Bruce said that no leader in the Caribbean is safe based on what just happened in Venezuela. What are your views on that?
True. And that is what happened. The fear syndrome. All them afraid now say Trump can come for them.
Can just come take you out.
The fact of the matter is that Trump can just come take you out legally if you don't do nothing. But what the man must say, they might file for all for the Caribbean leaders them who in a drug trafficking. Remember, a man can just come take you out if you don't do nothing. The police can just come take you out of my house if you don't do nothing.
But you know, but Raleigh, hold on. You not have to do nothing because there is no evidence that Maduras involved in any drugs. There is no evidence that the people them where Trump shoot up on the sea did have the drugs. So Trump don't need evidence.
Yeah, but I fine. But him carry a certain propaganda line.
Yes.
Yeah. And one thing that them float out in other thing is that they might have info on a whole lot of Caribbean leaders who then say involved in drug trafficking.
Yeah, and it might be lie. It might be propaganda, as you say. So therefore, I agree with Bruce Golding. Nobody is safe because all America have to do is say, yo, the prime minister that involved in a drugs running and he might use the country as a transshipment port and take you out.
Yeah. So the question is, then are we going to just sit down and say, oh, boy, as Caribbean leaders, the man can just come for you. So it means we're not asking about nothing.
So Andrew is doing what a lot of Jamaicans are doing because we see a lot of killings by the police. Some of them look very dicey. And a lot of us are saying that the police must wear body cam because guess what? We now want to sacrifice our picnic because we want to see crime go down. Me no want my son dead. But some people is not going to say anything until it happened to their child or their children. And that's the same game Andrew is playing. I now say not because of me.
Yep.
And nobody's calling for the rule of law on Donald Trump.
Yep. Precisely. And we are calling for the rule of law.
Yes.
Because America played an important role in establishing that rule of law that led to the formation of NATO, that led to the formation of the UN, that led to the formation of the multilateral agencies, and then benefit from it the most. What will happen right now, what is happening right now based on what Trump is doing, is that the baddest man them in the world, around the world.
Yes.
And right now, you have three other men who better than him, who not afraid of him.
Yeah.
So what will happen? Yep, because Putin don't tell us him have Satan 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. And him test out Satan 1 for Ukraine or there. And I make Trump know say, yo, why not you're ramping me? Yep. So this is the world we living in now where and us 4 gunmen run the place. The world can't work.
No. The world need to be run by the rule of law, not by men.
Yeah. Yeah, precisely.
Because without the rule of law, small nations like Jamaica, like Caribbean islands, now no thought them can just come take you when them feel like.
Yeah.
And we have seen them doing it in the region. They have done it in Panama. They have done it in Grenada. Yeah. Now they have gone to Venezuela. I think they went to Haiti as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah,
so we have a call for the rule of law. Raleigh, give thanks. We talk.
All right, brother.
Blessings. One love. Ralston, I am on that. Yeah, man. The top economic analyst in Jamaica and the Caribbean. My viewers and listeners, you heard me ask Rosemary Shaw for the receipt. That receipt, we say we want it. See it, your people. This is the receipt that shows the former member of parliament for Eastern St. Thomas collecting stuff from Western Sports on the Constituency Development Fund. Yeah, man. This must go to the Integrity Commission This must go to the police, and a proper investigation must be done about this. September 3rd happened, and we must respect September 3rd right across the board, both PNP and GLP. Yeah, man, we must respect September 3rd. 1 month after you lose the election, you still want to spend constituency development fund money. No go so. Can't work. Hello, good morning. Hold on for me, caller. Hold on. Let's see if I can hook up. Go ahead, caller. Turn off the instrument in the background. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What no parliament now go on again at that now?
I'm not sure when it will start, but I don't know if it will start next week. But none no go on since the holiday. And if we had a serious government, brother, with the devastation from the hurricane and the crisis in Jamaica, no parliament shouldn't go up on break, but we don't have a serious government.
Okay. I got enough.
One love, my brother. Enough respect.
Yeah, man.
Let me say thanks to MP Rosemary Shaw for speaking with us this morning. Let me say thanks to Senator Lambert Brown for speaking with us this morning. Thanks to Ralston Hyman spending some time with us. Thanks to you, my ardent listeners and viewers, me big up every time. Give thanks. May the good Lord continue to bless and keep the items safe. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his light and give you his peace. Until we meet again tomorrow morning when we have Talk Jamaica. We are going to do tomorrow morning, where we will be taking the calls because we never take much calls today. So we're going to take the call them tomorrow morning. Morning, caller.
Morning, brother. Wagwan. Everything all right?
Most things good. Where I say?
Why am I there, you know?
Yeah,
it is your program a lot of people really calling. You know, but I decide, spirit move for calling still. It's crazy that you have all these people that are in position of power.
Yeah.
Right? These are educated people. Right? We would look up at them as like people that
supposed to be educated people.
Yeah, right? But it shows you, and this comes back to my point I was making with our brethren, that people tend to neglect the counsels that are in the Bible. When the Bible says wisdom of this foolishness with God, because they have wisdom of this world, they have PhD and all that, right? But it's foolishness with God because the heart of man is wicked.
Yes.
And people realize that the only book on the earth that really tells you how to discern a wicked man from a righteous man, based upon the evidence. And the evidence is clear that the wicked people wicked people in power.
Yeah.
They're governed by a evil spirit because it's not hard. It's not. Jamaica have about 2.something million, maybe 3 million people.
Yeah.
Because we've been hearing that 2 million for a while.
Well, we're not sure because we spent $4 billion to do a population census that has not been completed to date.
And why even spend $4 billion when that $4 billion could go in the pockets of Jamaicans?
No, but you need the population census. The population census is something that you need to know how many people you have in the country, how many over this age, how many under that age, how many in this area, so you can know how to develop the country. So the population census is needed. And that's why we are having problem because we don't know how much people live at Jamaica. We don't know which part the majority of the people live or the minority of the people live. We don't know where to build a new school or to build a new hospital. So we're flying blind.
So look at even that what you said there now, right? Elder. Look at what you said there now. How long now these people have been, like an example would be, right? Portmore has been, they know the trajectory of Portmore growing, right? And they have done many councils and many talking and behind closed door and even publicly. You're telling me that common sense doesn't. This is where you show you the word when people say common sense not common. It's really true.
No, man,
You're
common
telling me
sense
that
not common. None at all.
common sense wouldn't tell you that Portmore is going to need an hospital for all the time that you've been planning to develop Portmore, that it need a large hospital.
Let me say this to you before we go, because tomorrow morning we're going to do a call-in program. So I'll wrap up that program now. But let me tell you this before we go. I don't know if you ever listen to the Jamaican anthem or if you know the anthem. The anthem asks God to grant us vision, because if we don't get vision, we are going to perish. What is happening in Jamaica, my brother? The country is running with a lack of vision, and that's why the people are perishing.
Exactly. And what vision? Apply the righteousness of God
yes,
to the
man.
people and apply the law.
But not just the anthem tell us, so the Bible tell you so too, that where there is no vision, the people perish. The anthem is a prayer, to God, brother. But
you're right.
Give me a call tomorrow morning early, make we talk now, because we have to wrap up this program now. We start 9 o'clock Jamaica time tomorrow morning.
All right then.
Or even 8:30. Sometimes we start at 8:30. But make certain you subscribe to the channel. That's when we start, you get a notification.
Yeah, man.
Blessings and thanks. All right. One love, my brother. Click the notification bell. Thanks, everybody. We have to run this morning. We have to run. Got to go. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to everybody. One love. See you tomorrow morning for Talk Jamaica when we take all the phone.